Hi everyone, welcome to me,
You
and Doctor Who. I hope we harmonized with that. I can't exactly tell over Discord. But hello.
It'll be funnier if not.
It would be. Hi, welcome. This is our first official recording after I think the podcast has been released.
Correct.
I think this is the first time we're recording. Hello, scary.
Hope you like us.
Hope you like us. We have like 12 downloads or something last time I checked. We're so popular.
We're basically famous.
Yeah. Haley's been making waiting in my trailer jokes, and I've been making first on the call sheet jokes. But I'm excited for the episode we're gonna watch today. We just finished watching The Bumper. It's probably one of the first emotionally tense episodes, if I can recall. Like we've kind of been goofing and farting around in quite literal senses of the word for the past few episodes. And I think this is the first time, stuff gets real for a little bit. Haley, what did you think of The Bumper that we just watched?
Clearly it's time to leave that baby crap at home. I'm allowed to say that, right? I can't remember what I'm allowed to say.
But yeah, we're exploring a museum of sorts, I guess. People are getting blasted like crazy. All dead, they say.
All of Salt Lake City is
all
dead.
of them, every single one, and also we see a bit of skin from the Ninth Doctor. Ooh, things are getting saucy.
Some tasteful nudity.
No, it's not. He's clearly in trouble, but I don't know why his shirt is off. That's crazy.
He chose that way.
Yeah, I don't know. This is probably an episode I remember not like quite a bit from, but a lot of scenes stand out to me, and I do believe I do know how this ends, in give or take. But I'm excited to be reminded of it and experience the scenes for the first time. Or not the first time, but basically like the second or third time, because I don't remember how many times I've seen this episode. But I'm excited for Haley to watch it for the first time.
I have seen this episode in a dream before.
Oh, yeah?
So I'm pretty... Yes.
So you know how it ends and how they all become besties in the end, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we might as well not even watch it.
Yeah, you know what? Let's turn off the podcast. I actually hate this show.
This is our final episode.
We're never coming back. Well, that's crazy for us to say, because I think, no, I can't, it's not crazy for me to say. I'm imagining in the future, because the next episode, as of recording that's coming out, is the end of the world, and then I believe we're taking a break for a week, especially because I'm going to be out of town for a little bit. So we're getting those done ahead of time, and I don't know when this episode that we're recording is coming out. Probably like the month after that, because
I think so.
That's like episode 2. This is episode 6. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But to get the credits in this episot was written by we've got a bit of a new group of people, except for like Phil Collinson. I think we've seen Phil Collinson before.
Definitely.
But the writer for this episode is Robert Shearman, and the director is Joe Ahern. I probably should look up these names and how they're pronounced before I start recording. And the producer...
Before you start making Minecraft villager noises.
Yeah.
SpongeBob.
And produced by Phil Collinson. So that is our crew, our head crew for today. I'm sure there's a bunch of lovely people who worked on this episode. It takes a village to raise this baby, and I'm so glad we get to witness it. So, is there anything else you want to say, Haley, before we start?
I'm very excited. Please remind me it's pronounced Dalek, right?
Dalek.
I'm saying it correct this time?
I mean, like, only British people say it, so we only have the British pronunciation to go off on.
Which is basically wrong.
Yeah, which is always wrong. We should be pronouncing it Dalek.
Of course.
I think there might be some future episodes with like American characters who go Dalek. But I'm actually not 100% sure. But it would be really funny if they did.
I hope so.
I hope so. I want to see them. I think I know who the first American character is, and I'm excited to see when he shows up. But we still have a time to go before that. Well, I guess it's time to watch Dalek.
I'm strapped in. I'm ready. I'm bracing
I
myself.
hope nothing bad happens. Ugh, scary. Scary.
I'm done with these side quests. I'm ready to get into the real meat and potatoes of this adventure.
Getting into my big boy boots right now. All right, we'll see you on the other side.
Bye-bye.
Trigger warnings for this episode include character death, screaming, medical gore, and drug mention. Oh boy!
Oof.
Welcome back. That episode was so. Actually, I thought I had a great time watching it. Actually, I was about to be like sarcastic with it, but genuinely, I think so far that was probably the best one we watched.
Oh, that was easily the best episode.
Yeah, the freaking monologues and like the speeches people all they like Christopher Eccleston and Billy Piper just on their A game. Not that they aren't, in other episodes, but like it was just really good this episode. If I could please, I push my mic towards you. What are your thoughts? What are your fresh thoughts on the episode?
Bats the mic off of the table like a cat. But yes,
Whoa!
Easily best episode so far. A lot of intense, great scenes. I'm sure old fans must have been going cuckoo crazy.
Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, you might say.
Don't get me wrong, I've been enjoying it all up until this point. This has been a very fun show, and I've been really enjoying recording and watching it with you. But I think specifically when he said you would have been a great Dalek, I think I physically felt something switch in my brain where I was like, oh, I think I'm obsessed with this now, actually.
Literally, oh my gosh, like that is, I keep saying stuff like this is so iconic, this is iconic. This is iconic.
It really was.
Okay? This is like I'm gonna go through the episode and we're gonna talk about, as scene by scene as we can get, I guess, but like just to get the elephant out of the room, like that like affected people in such a way.
It affected me.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're experiencing it for the first time, because that line really hits hard, especially because just all the stuff he's going through. Okay, I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself.
We gotta
start. We gotta start. Hashtag America. We're in America now. The Americaness started sooner than I thought it would. Actually, I thought the first American character was gonna be in I think it's called the Doctor Dances or something.
He dances?
Or the Empty Child. Yeah, he boogies down.
No.
Oh yes. The Empty Child, I think it's what it's called. Is there's an American side character, that I remember very clearly, and I was pretty sure that was our like first American character, but it turns out we're actually going to be taking place in Utah. We're not going to see much of Utah though, because we're going to be in a bunker this whole time.
We are under Utah.
We are under Utah, many floors, at least 50 floors under Utah. It is technically the future, but it's only 2012. This episode came out in 2005, so it's very funny that was considered the future. Especially when you get to the part where the Dalek like absorbs the internet.
Yeah.
Like the 2012 internet was a place to be, truly.
Sure was, baby.
But the Doctor and Rose, they basically what was it? The TARDIS like caught a signal, and the TARDIS caught a vibe and landed in a Utah basement. I don't know for sure. Is Area 51 in Utah?
It's either Utah or Nevada. Hold on. It is in Nevada. Okay.
Okay. So this is not Area 51. So I thought there was going to be like a little reveal of like, where do you think you are? This is Area 51 or something.
Where do you think you are, idiot?
Yeah, I guess Area 51 would be more of like less of a museum and more of like a scientific lab studying aliens or something. I think because that's what we're we all assume Area 51 is, if it's anything at all. Uh, but I think this is just some random rich guy's personal museum of like alien artifacts, basically. And this guy's name is Henry Voss Staten. Was it Voss Stat or Voss Staten?
I have Henry Van Staten down in my notes, but I could be wrong.
I'm pretty sure it's Staten, but every once in a while, I think at least once the doctor calls him Stat, and they landed his like museum, and the little Easter egg, I guess. They see one of the old Classic Who Cyberman heads, which was really cool because it's not really a spoiler. The Cybermen do show up later in the series. I'm pretty sure you know based off like that one TikTok audio of like the Dalek and the Cybermen like ripping on each other or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So they do come back later, but with like different designs. But I'm glad that they're not doing a thing where like they use the new design for like the artifact head, and they're like, yeah, Cybermen have always looked like this, but they use like an actual like Classic Who designed head, and he's like, this is an old enemy of mine. I'm getting old. I think
it's my ex-lover.
Yeah, I'm literally talking about him like they're exes. And I'm not sure how old the Doctor is at this point. I recall that the 11th Doctor starts saying his age, like not even every few episodes, but like at least once a season he'll be like, I am this age. I think the 10th Doctor might throw it around a bit, but I don't think maybe the writers just haven't decided yet on like how old the 9th Doctor is. But I'm pretty
He's embarrassed about it.
Yeah, he's a little shy. I think he might be in the 800s, maybe 900s, regarding years, which is very funny. He's like, and then I'm like 907, and I'm gonna travel with this 19-year-old. And so they get like taken in by the soldiers or whatever who work here, and we get like a cut to after the theme song. We get a little cut to this Henry guy who's in charge of the facility, and he's like, all right, Secretary Lady, tell me, who do you think should become the next president, Republican or Democrat? And she's like, Democrat? And he's like, why? And it's like, because they're funny. It's like, yeah.
To be fair, Obama's hilarious.
Yeah. It is 2012. I actually got it confused because I thought that was the year Trump won. And I was just like, oh, this didn't age well. The Republican got in. But I guess, yeah, that was the year. Was that Obama's second term or first term?
That was Obama's second term.
Okay, so
this actually aged fantastically.
Yeah, beautifully, actually. Literally calling Obama a funny man. I mean, he was capable of being funny, I guess, more than a lot of other presidents.
Like some people we know.
Some people. I feel like I have to mention this secretary lady who we sort of like stick with for a while. I'm like almost like certain this is like a British actor doing an American accent, because she slipped a lot. I don't know if it's that obvious to like other people, especially maybe British people. But like almost like every other sentence she would like have like a British accent. I'd be like, okay, Miss Girl, you are not from here. Get your blue ass.
You bleeding heart liberal.
You Yankee. It's not even a Yankee. You lobster. You redcoat.
You lobster.
You get out of here. And so I don't believe she was American in the true sense of the word. But he gets introduced to the Doctor just because they're like, how the hell did you get here? And the Doctor's like, wouldn't you like to know, weather boy? And then I don't remember why. I think it's because the Doctor is like, oh yeah, I know a bit about alien technology, and like shows off not even shows off, he just shows him how this like little alien instrument works, and that gives him a bit of rapport with this guy to know what alien stuff is. And so he's like, well, if you know so much about alien stuff, can you check out this like machine that's been screaming at us? It's not saying anything, but I want it to say stuff so we can like talk to it and figure out what it is. And the Doctor's like, all right, whatever. And so he goes, and Rose stays behind with another, like, with the one other British person there, quote unquote the only British person there, and they lead him into the like containment room that they're keeping the creature in, and you slowly come to realize, oh, this is the titular Dalek, and the Dalek only stops screaming and starts talking once he realizes the doctor is there. And I think this is the beginning of like the episode like getting really good, because you get such like, I don't even know how to describe it, like such a, I don't want to call it great because it's, it's awful what he's going through, but such like a realistic like traumatic response to something, especially something that you're like terrified for your life for. Like the doctor immediately, like, I don't want to say cowers, but has like a real emotional reaction to this and is like desperate to be let out, thinking he's about to die. But of course, like the Dalek is, his gun is turned off. He doesn't have the power to shoot him, which sends the doctor on a really good monologue describing like what I would describe as like a masterclass on like exposition, how you deliver exposition in like a very interesting way, as opposed to like, just like dropping dialogue of information, just like a whole line of script, which I'm sure it was probably a big dialogue heavy script this episode. And you really learn a lot, not just of the doctor like explaining it to people, because he doesn't even do that until later, like after he gets out of the room he like explains it to the Americans, uh because the Dalek doesn't know what's happened. He doesn't know about the Time War. So you get more exposition and information about the Doctor's backstory and the Dalek's history just from him just from him trauma dumping. But I feel like it was in a very moving way that, like, my attention was never drawn away. I feel like I was like learning information in a way that felt very natural, if that makes sense.
No, I completely agree.
Gosh, but that scene was really great.
And the secretary was named Goddard, like the dog from Jimmy Neutron.
That was her name? I didn't even catch her
I'm pretty sure
name.
it was Goddard. I wrote it down in my notes, unless I'm crazy and I'm having digital hallucinations.
I think you're insane, actually, Haley. Who cares?
I'll be in my trailer.
No, wait, come back. We can't.
You better up my pay for this.
We can't afford another host, okay?
Well, you're not going to be able to afford me after long.
After this episode.
If this continues, this treatment.
He's finished talking to him and he leaves. He's basically warning the Americans, like, yeah, you have to straight up kill that thing. Because he does start trying to kill it. Like, once the Dalek is like, what am I supposed to do? And the Dalek and the Dalek and the doctor is like, here, let me help. I'll just kill you, and starts electrocuting it. And has to be like dragged away by the soldiers. I think while this is happening, we see that Rose is hanging out with the British guy. I forget his name. I don't know. Did you catch?
Yeah, his name I didn't catch.
Yeah. He's like one of the scientists there. He collects and studies the artifacts that they get from there. And what were they talking about? Like, they were like low key flirting a little bit, and I'm like,
yeah, they were just like about to kiss.
Yeah, which is crazy because I know we joke about like Rose leaving her boyfriend Mickey, but like they never officially broke up. I don't think. I think she was just like, No,
I don't think so.
She was just like, I'm gonna be gone for a while. And Mickey was like, so do you expect me to wait here for you? And she was kind of like, yeah, a little. and
yeah, I guess.
And I think Mickey probably just cares about her so much that even though he says that, like, what do you expect me to wait here for you? He's still going to do that, like, despite himself saying that. And it's kind of a sad thing to think about, that his, like,
he's such an angel. I love him so much,
especially because they're still on Earth and it's 2012. Like, as far as we know, Mickey is like still is out there doing his thing. And like what is that, like, in Rose's timeline it's 2006 because she skipped ahead a year, right? So 2012, so that's 6 years later. So it's probably feasible that Mickey's just around, but obviously we can't check in on him at this point because that would like probably ruin the timeline or whatever. I don't think we
can't look at his Facebook.
Yeah, can't do a quick pop in. But yeah, I thought it was like kind of weird that she was like flirting with him, and it's because they did have chemistry. They talked to each other pretty well, and
Oh, totally.
yeah, and he starts showing her like the live feed from the containment room of the with the Dalek in it. And Rose, who has never seen a Dalek, I don't think she's even heard the Doctor talk about. Has the Doctor even brought up Daleks at this point? Because he talked about the Time War a little bit, and that his planet was wiped out, and it was like his fault or whatever.
I don't think he's mentioned them specifically. I could be wrong, though.
I don't think I have it in my notes at all. I mean, I'm still editing the episodes that are coming out, so like I don't remember everything we said from the past episodes, but whenever I'm editing, I'm like, "Oh yeah, I did talk about this," and I remember. He might have mentioned it in the last episode where like I don't know, I don't remember if he talked about himself that much. I don't remember. I have the crappiest memory. I should not be the one who has to remember everything. Don't make me do it. I will go through with it. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so Rose probably wouldn't know what a Dalek is, so she's like naturally like empathetic towards it, which I feel like I understand from the context she has. It looks like this creature is like screaming and being tortured, and he like doesn't deserve it. At this point, it probably does deserve it. I mean, we get to the point where like it starts changing, but that was because of Rose like showing up and like interacting with it. But at this point in the episode, it kind of probably deserves being tortured and killed because it's kind of a genocidal maniac that like doesn't care about any type of life form. I mean, sue me for saying that.
You bleeding heart.
Yeah, literally. I think we come back to like the Doctor talking to the Americans, and he sort of does. This is when he gets to like a traditional like exposition dump. It's like, that's a Dalek. They're doing this, and this is what they're for. And the Americans are like, oh, interesting. I think the Doctor also like quickly mentions like, oh yeah, they have a creator. You'd like him. You'd go along with him, which I think is interesting for the future. And the American guy, I don't want to call him Henry. I guess his name is like Staten. I could just call him Staten. He sort of like realizes like, so you're the last of your kind too, and the Doctor's like, yeah, question mark. He's like, cool. What if we did experiments on you? And they like capture him and like chain him up, shirtless, I must say. We get some. We get some Doctor chest action in our show.
Some top surgery.
Literally, it looked like they were giving him top surgery. They were only aiming at his chest. And I was like, no, they're taking his I can't say this word. They're giving him top surgery. That's all we need to know.
You know what we're trying to say.
A wink, a nudge, nudge. But this also, I remember saying that I was wondering when, like, the drop of, like, him having two hearts was going to be. I did not think it was going to be this. I did not remember this part of the episode, where they, like, x-ray him and they're like, oh, wow, two hearts. I'm gonna, like, make this super popular in America. Like, what are you talking about? That's not feasible. We can't hold two hearts in our ribs. Stop that. But it's, like, a really... Should I, like, trigger warning this episode for, like, slight gore? Because those hearts were kind of semi-realistic hearts.
I don't see why not, I suppose.
It was, like, mild gore, I guess. Because they were, like, beating and it was kind of gross looking. I was like, ugh.
Yucky.
Yucky, ucky. Oh, yeah, I was gonna point this out. I put a question mark by it in case, like, it was wrong. But I thought it was, like, either interesting or a plot hole that the Doctor says to Staten, you're worse than the Dalek because at least a Dalek is honest. You're like lying to like the American populace because you know he mentions like, oh yeah, we discovered a cure for the flu or a common cold, and we're just
common cold.
Yeah, and we're just like keeping it under wraps, and we're thinking about selling the cure in like tiny increments or whatever. And so the Doctor is like, yeah, you're just a big freaking liar. At least a Dalek is honest. And then in the next scene, we have the Dalek lying to Rose. So I'm not sure what that was supposed to be. Because, like...
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because, you know, Rose hasn't touched the Dalek yet, so hasn't given him... Ugh, what are the Dalek's pronouns? I don't know. He becomes she, her by the end of the episode. because of Rose. But it like it basically does. I don't know if it lies to Rose, but it definitely like plays up to her sympathies. I think it realizes that she's a very empathetic person and uses that to its advantage to get himself out. Because I think it knows that it needs like a what did he call it? A freaking genetic material. That's what it is. Because at this point, Rose is like talking to it and like wanting to like free it or like help it. And in a classic human move, goes to comfort it with a little touch of her hand and I don't know, gets like she like it's a burning sound happens, but it doesn't look like she got like physically burned. It just looked like
She was fine.
yeah,
She walked it off.
yeah, just run it under cold water for a little bit. You'll be fine, kiddo. And the Dalek basically is able to break out because he gets like he explains later why, but it's because Rose is a time traveler, so genetic material from her regenerated him, I guess, which is a funny way of putting it, especially when the Doctor is the one who regenerates. Yeah. I guess you get a little. I don't know if this is spoilers if I say this. Okay, I will be as vague as possible. The reason why Time Lords are different than humans is because of their interactions with the time vortex, which is that like blue Coraline tunnel that the TARDIS like spins around in. That's the time vortex.
The brain blast.
So because of their constant interaction with it, they sort of like have become a different species. They're not based on humans or from Earth or anything. But they are different from like other humanoid races because of their constant interactions with the time vortex and traveling in TARDISes. I guess Rose gets a little bit of that, just because she's been time traveling for a hot minute. But I don't think that's how. I don't think she would become a Time Lord as a result of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's just a side effect of the radioactivity.
Yeah, literally getting this is like this episode low key reminded me of Fallout, the Fallout series. We've got radioactivity. We've got sketchy bunkers. We've got it all.
We've got Utah.
We've got America lying to the citizens. This is just like Fallout.
I'm proud to be American.
And then like once the Dalek actually gets out, it like very slowly, it doesn't start killing people right away, I think because it has to like power up its gun first. It like it's able to get its strength back just from the genetic material, but I guess it needs to absorb the internet to get power for its gun. It goes to
consume the whole internet.
Yeah, it like before he does that, we can't forget he like plunges someone to death. Like
oh yeah, I wanted to say if anyone has ever seen the 1970s horror musical Phantom of the Paradise, there's a scene in that was brought to mind by the plunger suffocation.
I can't imagine like they didn't know what they were doing in Phantom of the Paradise. That was probably a little bit of a Dalek reference. I mean, well, wait, that movie came out in 1970.
Yeah, it was like 74.
I don't know if the classic Who Daleks did that, actually, if they like plungered people to death. But maybe it was the other way around. Maybe like this episode was just more of a reference to Phantom of the Paradise.
Oh my god, that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
You know I'm calling up the expert
after this. Our friend Ella. Oh my gosh, we should have had her for this episode.
Oh, if only we do.
If only. Oh no. But yeah, he plunges someone to death, and then he goes to download all of the internet. They just say he downloaded the internet, which is a crazy thing to say.
He eats it.
He downloaded coolmathgames.com. He downloaded playhousedisney.com.
So many racist, outdated YouTube videos.
So many Flash games. So many cat memes. And that was
so many I can has cheeseburger images.
Literally. And that's enough to power up his gun. So that's when he starts killing. I have next in my notes that like so at this point the Doctor and Staten are trying to figure out like how to stop it. And Staten wants to keep it alive, but also doesn't want to die. So he's like starting to get desperate, and the Doctor's like, it's like the doctor is like, you have to kill it. It's not gonna stop killing. And then Sten goes, well, why would it do that?
I don't
I
know.
just thought that was so funny. Like, I don't, dude, this is like an alien creature, like, who you couldn't even begin to understand, that you're just researching so you can make a quick buck off it somehow. Like, are you
What do you
stupid?
think I am, some kind of Dalekologist?
Yeah, are you stupid? Are you dense?
Are you
Are you
stupid?
stupid?
Yes. Can we bring up all of Salt Lake City is dead yet? Is that
Oh
at this
yeah, I
point?
think it is. Yeah, because I thought the delivery of that in the bumper
It
was like
is.
really fast, and I was like, I bet they edited that together to make it like really fast and punchy. But he literally at that same speed, like, what's the nearest city? Salt Lake City, Utah. Population 1 million, all dead.
It brought to mind, I don't know if anyone else has seen this, but there is a video out there somewhere of a weatherman, I want to say in like Texas or something, doing a report, and the numbers are super wrong on, and there's one town, I think it was McKinney, where it's like 7 bajillion degrees,
Yeah.
and he goes, everyone in McKinney is
There,
dead.
yeah, I've seen that video.
They've all died.
I love that video because it's like clearly they accidentally added like one more digit to like the
Yeah.
temperature, and then he just has to roll with it and just be like, "Well, it's 1,000 degrees over there. I'm pretty sure you guys are all dead.
Everyone in McKinney is
Every
dead.
you guys are all dead. But over here it's a nice healthy 78 degrees."
Go enjoy that stroll in the
Yeah,
park,
just don't cross that state line over to McKinney.
or you'll burst into flames.
Yeah, he the Dalek explains, this is the point where he explains like why Rose's biomass like helped him. At this point, it's a lot of like chase sequences. At this point, Rose and her little British friend, whose name I cannot remember, are basically running with soldiers behind them, and the soldiers are dropping like flies. Let me tell you. And they enter like this courtyard where the doctor is desperately trying to give these American soldiers advice on like how to shoot and kill it. And for some reason, the like what I can only assume is like the captain or sergeant or whatever soldier rank he is, like the guy in charge, is like, I think I know a little bit more about American Girl dolls than you do, genius. And it's like, all right, guys, we're just gonna blast this guy, and they all die as a result, and no one is surprised. But Rose and the British guy keep running, and as they're running, I do believe they're able to pull like the Dalek up on like their feed, and the dog was like, I'm only going to talk to the doctor, and the doctor's like, all right, I'm here. And this is where we get iconic scene number two, uh where the Dalek is like begging for orders. And I'm so sad that this audio got viral on TikTok out of context, because it really is such like a serious audio of the Ninth Doctor basically telling the Dalek to like kill itself. Like, cause like what else are you good for? You genocidal maniac! I hate you! I hate you! Yeah, you
KYS.
literally are killing people on your way here. Yeah, it makes me so bitter that that audio got a little bit popular on TikTok, just going like, kill yourself. Why don't you just die? And it's like, shut up. He's so sad in that scene. He's so angry. And it's at that point where the Dalek does say like, you would make a good Dalek. And the horror that like dawns on his face. I really love actors who like take great care in expressing their emotions, like even in small ways. Like, it's not even just shock, it's literal horror, realizing that in
Yeah.
himself, that he could potentially be the same, or not even, because he was like, he was willing to accept like, yeah, maybe we are the same. But I think the line really is like him being told that he would be an excellent version. If he was a Dalek, he'd be an excellent at it, which is horrifying to hear,
Mm.
especially as like, I don't know if they've established this yet, but I think it's kind of implied that like the Doctor isn't really the kind of person to like carry a weapon and like attack people. This is kind of the first instance we get really of him going on the offensive, I think. Or at least really desperately trying to. Like, I was like really surprised how eager he was to like pick up that big gun. And
He was ready to kill.
yeah, I have to kill
That's what
God.
happens when you spend 5 seconds in America. It just gets
It
takes
really,
control.
literally, he spends 5 seconds in America, and suddenly it's like, oh, gun, gun, gun.
I'm ready to shoot. Take me to Walmart. I
it
want to get a gun.
it's legal over here. Let's do it. But yeah, it's he doesn't want to like believe that himself, but he also like proves it over the course of the episode a little bit with how ready he is to use these guns, truly. And I think it really is because they don't say it explicitly. They do late in later episodes about like how the doctor like doesn't carry a gun kind of thing. Uh this is low key anti-gun statement, which I appreciate a bit, because it's not a gun that solves the problem in this episode. It's like empathy and knowing that there's not just one option out. Like there's always a choice when it comes to like how to solve something. I think this is the point where Rose and the British guy are still running, and the doctor is like, we have to seal off the whole place. And oh yeah, and there was like there was a crazy line that I thought was really good. I don't think it was the point of the episode to like make a statement on how bad it is when museums take like foreign artifacts and just keep it for themselves. But they kind of like imply that when the doctor's like yelling at Staten, and Staten is like, oh, I just wanted to see the stars, and the doctor is like, no, you just wanted to bring the stars down to your level and keep them in the dirt in a box for yourself underground.
Yeah.
And I was just like, hell yeah, that's it, baby. Like when it when it comes to like stealing stuff that isn't yours, it's never about like I want to share this with people and I want everyone to see it. It's all about who owns it. Like you want to be the one to own it and have it so you can say you have it, and have like a one up on someone. Because I think down to the nitty gritty, sometimes a lot of museums are like that. Not all museums, but
the British Museum,
the British
so.
Yeah, the British museums though, their unwillingness to give back artifacts that clearly belong to certain countries and cultures is sometimes sickening to see. And and like I said, I don't think that was like the message of this episode, but I think it's like a little bit of a side message, a little,
it's a
like,
theme.
Yeah, just a little bit. A little theme of the episode
as a
like,
treat.
Yeah, just a little treat, just a bit of a anti-Indiana Jones treat for you.
It does not belong in a museum.
It belongs in a museum. Indiana Jones, I'll kill you. I'll kill you.
You sound like a Muppet.
It's me, Indiana Jones, and I think this belongs in a museum. Okay, Kermit the... No, this isn't Kermit the Frog. This is Kermit the Frog's evil brother.
There is a very funny clip, I believe, from the original Muppet Show of him dressed up as Indiana Jones. He's like, I want to make it very clear that I do not support violence, and then he shoots a Nazi.
Oh, yeah, he goes, however, and then he turns to shoot the... I didn't know that was from, like, an Indiana Jones parody.
I think he's supposed to be Indiana Jones in that.
Well, Kermit, I think the whole of humanity has forgiven you. I definitely excuse that kind of action.
It's acceptable violence.
Acceptable violence. I accept it. And I think while like the doctor's like, trying to seal off the whole facility so the Dalek doesn't like reach the surface of Earth, he like makes a call to like close the doors. And Rose and her friend are still running towards them. And they're still running, and it's a classic situation of like the doors are getting sealed and they have to like slide under them. But unfortunately, Rose actually doesn't make it through. I didn't think she was gonna make it with how slow she was running. I was like, girl, you gotta run faster than that. I think she was I don't know if it was the director, but I feel like someone must have told her, you have to run pretty, you can't just
you have to look good.
Yeah, you can't just run like your life depends on it. You have to run while also keeping your face in frame. Which, I didn't feel like she looked very desperate in that moment, but I digress. It's not that important because for plot reasons she had to be behind the door. And you get such a sad scene of like her basically accepting her death, and I think she realizes that, or at least she makes it clear to the audience that she's not like stupid. She knows that the doctor is he carries a lot of guilt and a lot of weight on whether he can save people's lives or not. So that I think that's why like her first instinct is to like tell him that it isn't his fault and she doesn't regret like traveling or doing all these things with him. Which is really really sad actually.
Heartbreaking.
It really is. And the doctor does make a point of saying, like, yeah, she was literally only 19. Like, this shouldn't have happened to her. And that's crazy that she's just 19.
She's just a kid.
She's not even in her 20s yet. I can't believe I'm older than Rose. Jesus.
Yeah, no, she's just a baby.
She's just a baby. Like she's not much older than like my youngest sibling, which is crazy. I would go insane if my youngest sibling like went missing for a year and then it was like, and now I'm gonna go travel again. I'd be like, no, what are you doing?
I might die. Peace.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'd be in a rage. I think I did get the scenes mixed up. I think the whole like talking about the museum and artifact stuff comes after this scene because the doctor's like enraged with Staten. But then you come to realize that Rose actually is not dead. The Dalek can't bring itself to kill her for whatever reason. He does, and it doesn't understand why. I think it's basically implied that through the genetic collection of Rose, it also gained a little bit of her emotions, or at least capability to feel emotions, because obviously it doesn't start right away, where because clearly it went on a killing spree on its way up here.
Just for funsies.
But I think once it like realized for Rose specifically it couldn't kill her, like something just starts to like click in it. Because I think he describes it as like I feel your fear, so he's like it's like literally empathizing with her, and I guess doesn't want to feel that from her, and the only way to do that is to not kill her. Basically, not.
He's an empath.
It's an empath. Oh my gosh, Rose, you created an empath.
You've created Shane Dawson robot.
And I mean, it's not empathetic enough to not take her hostage though. Like it basically calls the doctor back up and is just like, doctor, you're going to let me go and we're going to talk. Or I kill the girl you love. And it's like, all right, very damsel in distress core, all right. Now, my favorite part of the episode is like, the girl you love. Like, okay, I think Rose can kick a little bit of butt, but whatever. What happens after that? Oh, yeah, they go up the elevator. And Rose is trying to talk it down. And when they reach the floor that they see Staten on, the Dalek is literally about to kill him. And also, I don't know if it got close to killing him, but Rose is able to talk him down. Weirdly enough, I feel like the Dalek has very human lines when it comes to how it talked to Staten, because it's not just like, oh, I'm going to exterminate you because that's what I'm programmed to do. It was like, you know, you tortured me. Why would you do that? Like, it wants to know why, which is...
It's a very good observation.
Yeah, as opposed to like, you know, a robotic being like, I'm just gonna kill you, and even in the sense of like, oh, you tortured me, I'm going to kill you for that. It's the fact that he wanted to know why that really sort of like I found interesting. And of course the Staten can only offer excuses of just like, oh, I just wanted to hear you talk. And the Dalek is like, oh, well, I'm talking now.
See,
B-word.
He's gangster.
Yeah.
What's it ever say?
Say, it's 2012 and I just wanted to hear you talk, see?
That's how everyone in America talks.
That's how every single one of them talks. But like Rose convinces it otherwise, and Rose is like, what do you actually want? Because you can't killing isn't solving anything or bringing you anything, so what do you actually want? And the Dalek is like, oh, I want freedom. So they head out to like this corridor, and the Dalek blasts a hole in the roof so it could feel like the sunlight on its skin, and like opens up and reveals what it looks like. I also didn't think we were also going to get this reveal like early on. I thought it was going to be saved for a little bit later, but it does. But I think that's okay. I shouldn't say saved like, you know, this was like ruined for being so early on. Mm-hmm. But the fact that we got to see like its inside of like, it's a little flesh monster with a single single eye. I don't know, Haley, were you expecting that? I actually want to know.
I mean, to tell you the truth, I never really processed the idea that they were like something inside. Oh my god. Wait, I'm sorry. I just had a revelation, but I'm going to finish what I'm talking about first.
Yes.
Um yeah, I never processed that they could be like something within a suit of armor. I kind of just always assumed that they were robots.
Mm-hmm.
But
Which is fair.
I clearly haven't met my obscure media reference quota for this episode, so just to get one last one in there. Some of you may be familiar with a cartoon, a British cartoon actually, which makes my revelation all the more clear now that I'm talking about it, from the late 2000s, I want to say, called The Secret Show, which was about secret agents, and it aired on Nicktoons in America for a little bit, and I loved it when I was a kid.
Ooh.
And I'm now remembering that there was a creature you would see regularly called the imposters, I think they were called, and they were like changelings basically. They would take on the form and voice of anyone. And I distinctly remember now that there was an episode where they revealed that they were actually like worm creatures inside. And I'm realizing now that that was 100% supposed to be a reference to Daleks, especially because it was a British show. I have to watch it again now because the show was probably full of Doctor Who references that I never even got.
It probably was, cause I admit, like, I really don't think Doctor Who is a household name here in America. It's definitely popular here. Like, you could go to like a nerd store, like Hot Topic or something, and find like Doctor Who stuff. But like culture wise, it's really not as big here as I imagine it is in Britain. Anything that's like slightly British media here that we get, I feel like you get like vague Doctor Who references sometimes. Like there's a Doctor Who reference in Phineas and Ferb that I like remember off the top of my head, which is basically it's a TARDIS joke. They have a shed that they build, and there's like a lab in the shed, and they're like, "How did you guys do this?" And then Ferb goes, "Oh, with the little British technology." It's like,
And he's British, so
and
it's
he's
funny.
British. It's funny. And yeah, I don't know the point I'm going with this is. Yeah, I'm pretty. Yeah, if it's a British show, it not there's a non-zero chance it's gonna reference Doctor Who at some point.
Thoughts. It's never zero.
And it's never zero. It's actually, I bet it's like very close to like 5% chance.
That's the exact number.
That's the exact number. I've done the calculations in this in the last 2 seconds.
Did you do it with your plunger hand?
Oh, of course. What else would I have done it with? And then I get all the pound numbers in. And I break your door down.
No. My trailer.
Yeah. And at this point, the doctor shows up and aims his big old gun at or tries to aim it at the Dalek. Rose is in the way, and he yells at Rose to get out of the way. But she won't let him. They have this very nice heart-to-heart where she's basically trying to tell him like, hey, this Dalek is changing, and the doctor's like, I don't think that matters. It killed so many people, which I think is a little fair. It did just kill hundreds of people. Just because it feels a little bad about it right now, or maybe not feel bad about it right now, but is deciding to no longer kill people right now, doesn't exhume that it killed hundreds of people like 5 minutes ago. But I think it's more about the implication of what the doctor's gonna do about it. Because Rose basically is like, so like, yeah, literally like, what are you planning on doing? Like killing him? Like, what does that make you? Kind of situation. But she does convince the doctor. He's like, yeah, I see that he's not killing you. He's not killing me. And in all actuality, like, it gaining emotions and sympathy for like others is actually probably its worst nightmare, and it does make the Dalek want to kill itself basically, and it asks for Rose for orders to allow him to kill himself, which she like very reluctantly gives. She doesn't want to at first, and the Dalek is like, well, what kind of life is this, like, because I don't know, its purpose only is to kill things, and the only minimal joy it had was like feeling the sunlight on its skin, and like there's kind of not much else for it, at least on Earth. and there's not even a planet for it to go back to because, Dalek and Time Lord planet both got exploded. Uh, and so it does decide to go through with, like, exploding itself, with its little orbs around, on its, like, not torso, but, like, the little orbs on them. I didn't know they did that. I kind of...
My orbs.
Yeah, go, my orbs. That kind of just wraps it up, basically. The Staten guy gets, like, apprehended, and the totally American secretary lady, basically says he's gonna get his mind wiped and then become a junkie. Like, that's the word she used, like a junkie on the street.
It was,
and
yeah.
I was just like, oh my gosh, that's...
Yeah, dude.
I'm not... Okay, I mean, what are the morals of this? If someone did something bad, like really bad, like basically caused the deaths of hundreds of people because of selfish purposes, and then you wiped his memory, so he had no recollection of that and he would never remember it again, does this person deserve to be put on the street and forced to be homeless and a drug addict? I think...
Well, I feel like, wouldn't it be better to put him in jail because you wiped his memory but not his personality, so he could still find ways to hurt other people. So
that also brings up the argument of, like, nature versus nurture. Like, he could have, like, a bit of a cocky personality naturally, but his motivations might have come from something he learned growing up, especially in America. He probably was like
that's a fair point.
He was probably a rich kid or something, and I feel like if you actually wanted to punish him, you probably should just keep his memory and then put him in jail. If you're gonna wipe his memory, that's basically a new person. Not to bring up Severance, but I do think Severance brings up the idea of, like, well, if you don't have the memories that make you who you are you a completely different person? And the answer that show gives is a yes. And I've yet to see an argument that convinces me otherwise.
Can I hit you with a hypothetical real quick?
Yes, please.
Okay, so let's say that you're a bad person.
Yes.
And the reason you're a bad person is because of all of these really terrible things that happened to you when you were a child that were completely out of your control.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And let's say because you're such a bad person, you want to do more bad things.
Uh-huh.
So you get a cloning machine.
Does my name start with a P, by the way?
It does. You make a clone of yourself, but here's the kicker.
Oh.
The clone is you as a child before all these terrible things happened.
Oh my god.
So the child is a good child. So, like, and now you're a father, what do you do?
Well, obviously, I go through a divorce with my dog husband, and we get split custody, and we're actually very healthy about it. So healthy, in fact, that I think I might be falling in love with him again.
No.
Yes.
You're not gonna put him in a box first that says free kitty and leave it out on the street.
Oh yeah, sorry. I do that real quick, and then I do all that other stuff. Anyway, Dogman is a really fun comic.
Anyway, Dogman has lots of child-friendly drama for you to enjoy.
I mean, it's genuinely a good story. I can't rag on it too much. Yeah, but yeah, the idea of just, like, erasing someone's memory, cause, like, I don't know if that's fair. I mean, I'm probably thinking about this way too much, but I feel like that's not fair if you're gonna take someone and basically create a whole new person and then punish them for something they didn't do. Because as far as they know, they didn't do it. Can you...
Yeah, he's basically the innie.
Yeah, and also, they're not even putting him under arrest, they're forcing him to be homeless. Can you imagine just, like, waking up one day, you're a full-grown person, but you have no past and no recollection of who you are, how the world works, but you do have access to drugs, and like, I don't even know, like, do they just force him to become a drug addict? I don't know. I'm thinking about this, like, way too much.
Talking out of her butt, or is that, like, word for word what they're gonna do? I think we've got a great pitch for Severance season 3.
Yeah.
I think we gotta hit up Apple TV about this.
This is, oh my gosh, the horrors. It writes itself. Truly.
It does. Like AI.
No, we're thinking about this. We're using our brains.
But I don't want to use my brain. I don't want to put effort into this.
I want my brain to go soft and for the computer to think for me, please.
My brain already is so nice and unwrinkled.
Yeah. What happens after that? I think the Doctor and Rose are basically going back to their TARDIS, and the British friend they met along the way is like, yeah, he doesn't even say this. Rose is like, he doesn't have a ride home. Can we take him home? Also, he wants to see the stars. Can we travel for a little bit with him? And the Doctor is like, all right, I guess, but he's your responsibility. Like he's a
like he's a pet.
Like he's a pet. Like he's an animal. Excuse my F word.
Julia.
I thought I recognized him because I was like, this guy looks familiar. And I was like, he can't be the guy from that one episode, right? And then we got the bumper for the next episode. And I'm like, oh, he is. He is that guy. Don't remember much from that episode. We'll talk about it in our next episode of the podcast. But I don't know. Do you have... that might be all my thoughts for the episode. Do you have any closing thoughts, Haley?
I do have a bit of a weird question that I promise will make sense in a second. But do Daleks, to your knowledge, have any like weird allergies or sensitivities to anything like bizarre?
My brain says no, my gut says yes. I feel like they have something exactly as you described, like something weird and unique that they're like slightly weak to.
Okay, I bring it up because in that old cartoon I was meant old, like it's, like it's from the 30s. The spy cartoon I was talking about, the creatures that I realize now are Dalek references, they were allergic to penguins.
Oh.
Which is very bizarre, so I was just always curious if
okay.
that was also part of the reference or if it was just a weird addition.
Yeah, I don't think there's any birds they're allergic to. I think if I had to wager a guess, because it's been a while since I've watched like Dalek-centered episodes, I would probably guess it's something more like concept-wise, like they're allergic to emotions, basically. So literally what happened in the episode, if they are inflicted and given the power to process like empathy, then it kind of makes them short circuit and want to die, basically.
Oh, just like me, just like humans in real life.
Yeah, just this is just like content creators on YouTube when they're forced to empathize with people, they short circuit.
My God, I want to see a Dalek apology video.
Hello,
Dalek notes app.
I know I exterminated 200 citizens, but I've come to say I am sorry you feel that way.
You must understand that I am neurodivergent and a minor.
And a minor. I was just born 2 days ago.
I was literally born yesterday.
Literally, so you are literally bullying a minor right now. I hope you're happy. Goodbye.
But you are me to me. This is who you are being me to.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Don't forget to ring that bell.
Ring that bell. Not everyone who watches my videos is subscribed, so and it's free, so
be sure to use that toilet plunger.
I mean, like, oh yeah, I don't have much thoughts. Afterwards, I think I've said what I want to say. This is like I felt very compelled this episode. Truly.
As did I.
Truly compelled, more so than I have in the last few episodes. I think, so far this episode ranks the highest for me. I think maybe second highest is like The End of the World. Then probably the Charles Dickens and the pilot probably tied for third place. And then, unfortunately, bottom of the rank is the fart fartscapade.
The fartscapade, the fart fiasco.
Literally, the fart incident. The
fart incident.
Just make an ARG out of an analog horror ARG. The fart incident. They took her face.
They left behind a fart.
Oh my gosh. But I completely forgot to do trivia. Okay, trivia notes! Oh, yay! I'm so glad I didn't forget to do this, and I'm definitely not editing this in post.
Wow!
We're definitely not traveling back in time. Alright. Alright, I forgot to keep my eye out for this, but one of the trivia points actually was, it says, quote, behind and to the left of the TARDIS is a display holding a xenomorph egg. I was not paying attention to the display sections, actually, but I did just watch Alien for the first time the other night with my partner.
I saw.
And it was crazy because I was like, it was one of those movies where I just never got around to watching, and I was like, And I also had mentioned I'd never seen Predator, so they were like, well, why don't we just watch both of them? Like 80s horror alien movie night. And I was like, all right.
Nice.
And then we watched it, and Predator was okay, and Alien was pretty good. So I'd have to go back to like see if there was actually a xenomorph egg, but I don't know. If you guys want to watch the episode and look out for that, feel free. Because I don't know. I'll watch it in my free time. So says here on the Doctor Who wiki, that's where I'm sourcing my trivia points of IMDb right now, because I think that probably wasn't the best source to get that. And the IMDb was getting their source from the wiki anyway, so whatever. But the next thing is that apparently the Doctor's interaction with the Dalek was originally written to just be mocking and flippant. Christopher Eccleston decided to pour in incredible amounts of rage and pain in as well. Robert Shearman, who is the writer, was briefly miffed.
What?
Yeah, literally, that's what I was like laughing at earlier when I was reading all this.
Yeah, no, he made it so much better. I applaud him for that.
Yeah, I like because there's this thing where it really is up to the actors in this context to imply how much something affects their character. I think if he went that route of being like mocking and flippant towards it, we wouldn't take the Dalek as seriously as I think we were meant to take it, because this thing kills people.
Yeah.
It's a genocidal maniac. And I think that point comes across very well. We joke about it a little bit in the episode, but I think as like a story and as like a villain, it's written very well in this episode. Like, you get the sense of how dangerous and deadly it is just based off how terrified the Doctor is. Because I don't think the Doctor has been like this scared at this point. Like,
I did put that in my notes. Yeah, that like we're seeing legitimate fear. It definitely struck me.
Yeah, like it starts as fear, then it turns into rage. You really get the sense of how much this like creature and all the other Daleks have affected the Ninth Doctor, and I'm so happy he played it like that, because I don't think we wouldn't have gotten that impact if he decided to be like, oh, look at this loser all tied up, ooh, ooh, pointing and laughing, ha.
Does L sign on my forehead.
Yeah. I don't know if there's much to comment on this trivia point, but apparently it says that Christopher Eccleston got so into the Doctor's rage that he literally foams at the mouth in one scene, and I think you could see that. I think you could see that in the when he's like telling the Dalek to kill itself. Why don't you just die? And he's got like a bit of dribble on his mouth. And apparently this wasn't planned, and he insisted on keeping it in. Which, I think good actor choice. Like, sometimes you get when a character gets in such a rage, they get to a point where like they become almost feral like, and I really think that emphasizes like the rage someone is in. I think spittle should be used sparingly, though. I get a little bit grossed out by it sometimes if there's too much of it. I'm looking at you.
This was a called for use, I would say.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I'm looking at you, Hamilton pro shot. I did not need to see all that spit on Jonathan Groff's mouth. I don't think that was a character choice, though. I think he just accidentally did that.
Just spits a lot.
Yeah.
He's just a wet-mouthed man.
Another point is that apparently Russell T Davies, I don't think he directly worked on this episode, but of course he's the show creator. He probably had a hand in it at some point. And he apparently wished for the episode to be emotional rather than, quote, relying on people running down corridors, quote. Robert Shearman, the writer, expressed a desire to take all the things people find funny about the Daleks and turn them into something people would find memorable. That sounds like they're probably talking about, like, the plunger thing. But I do think often there's this aspect in, like, Daleks, at least from, like, classic Who, that, like, they're a bit silly to look at. And they're kind of goofy, they're very slow moving, and they've got a plunger for a hand. And I think, though the plunger was pretty silly, and I think they did play it up for a little bit of a laugh, I like the angle of them trying to basically make them scary again. Which I always love when if you're going to like re-release a media or like redo something that's been done in the past and like successfully making it fit the tone you're aiming for successfully and making the audience feel that way, like the closest thing I could compare this to is when I saw, this is gonna be stupid and I'm outing myself right now, but uh when the Avengers movie first came out, and all I knew about the Hulk was he was a silly green guy who was had big muscles and he only had pants on, made him kind of goofy looking. When I went to that theater in 2012 while the doctor was handling the Dalek in Utah, when I went to that theater and the Hulk showed up in the scariest way they could have made him show up, I was just sweating in my seat because it felt like there was a monster on screen and that people were gonna die. Uh, and I like when media does that, when they take something that was once silly but meant to be scary, that we consider silly now, and then making it scary again. Uh, Baller. I love that. I love that.
Well, I like the idea that this was the same day that he was doing all this stuff in Utah.
Yeah.
You were in wherever you were.
I was in my
Seeing
hometown.
this movie.
I was in a movie theater with my dad. He could not stop cracking up at the joke of Hulk punching Thor at the end of the movie or whatever. All we talked about on our ride home. I think I kind of just impulsively added this trivia point in, but it says that the writer Robert Sherman viciously resisted the notes from the BBC, insisting that the Dalek be humanized in the final scene and proclaiming Rose as its friend. Shearman was adamant that the Dalek remain a fascist and wanted the focus to be on how it would rather die than be like the humans. I think that's like, can he say that?
That's a strong word.
That's a very strong word. Because I think calling it a fascist implies that it has, like, political control over something.
That's what I was gonna say. It implies, like, what's the line in Barbie where she's like, she called me a fascist. I don't control the flow of commerce or the railroads.
Yeah, but I don't even know how commerce works. Yeah, literally. It's a bit of a bold word for him to use, but also it wasn't a direct quote, so maybe he used a different word. But also that's a very bold word to have in a trivia statement, so he must have used something close to it, the word itself. And I don't know if you should. Because it's like you don't want to take away meaning from the word by just calling something
exactly
fascist here and there, like willy nilly. I think you can call the Dalek a genocidal maniac. Its whole purpose is that it wipes out races and planets. You could call it a murderer, an exterminator.
It might be more fitting to say that the person who made the Daleks is the fascist, because I kind of feel like these guys are a little bit more just pawns in this person's grand scheme. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is a better point. Maybe that's what he meant, is like he wanted like the initial goal of the Dalek, like whatever the Dalek takes orders from is a like fascist power. I think maybe at most you could call this guy like a pawn of a fascist, but not a fascist, because this guy isn't making any moves in the political sphere. I'll tell you that much. He's just killing people.
I do not control the flow of commerce or the railroads.
Yeah. It's like how would you say this? Like not all genocidal maniacs are fascists, but a lot of fascists can be genocidal maniacs. If that makes sense. I mean, yeah, I think it might be rating time, Haley.
All right, I'm going to rate this 9 plungers suffocating me on my face out of 10.
Ooh, I thought, God, I feel like I thought of a funny one while we were watching and I completely forgot it.
Did it have to do with the doctor's top surgery?
Oh, it should. But wait, well, I actually, I think what I was gonna do was so I think I'm gonna give this a, a 9.5 squirming flesh mounds with one eye out of 10 who feel the sunlight on their skin for the first time.
Feel the rain on your skin, release your inhibitions.
Yeah, go get it, girl. And yeah, that was a pretty good episode for me. Very little times did it falter a little bit. I think at sometimes it was like a little bit slow, but it really made up for it in like the dialogue and the writing. Who wrote this episode again? I need to like send congratulations.
This really felt like an apology for the two-farter, and I'm very grateful for that.
Robert Shearman. Thank you.
You did great, Robert Shearman.
I guess, yeah. Haley, I'm glad you enjoyed the episode. I'm glad I enjoyed the episode.
Oh god, I enjoyed this one a lot.
The next one, I can't say if it's bad or good or not because I don't remember it, but maybe that's a clue on how good it is if I don't remember it. If that makes sense. All I remember is the ending of the episode because it's a very funny ending. But I guess we'll talk about that when we talk about it. We will see all you guys next week or the week after, depending on when this episode comes out. If it's the third to last week of the month, then we'll see you in 2 weeks. If it's not, we'll see you next week.
Wait.
You will wait. And you will wait for us until we come back in our TARDIS to rescue you. The girl we love.
You shall suffer.
Oh. All right, goodbye. Hey guys, thank you for listening to our show. This was created by me, Julia, and Haley Doherty. The cover art and the thumbnails were illustrated by the two of us and edited by me. Episodes edited by me and social medias run by Haley. The theme song and other sound effects are by half.cool. You can find us on Instagram at me&dw, on Twitter at me&dw, and on TikTok at me&dw. You can find this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Thank you for listening. Bye!